Hello. Today, our focus is on using LinkedIn as a tool for strategic networking in your job search. But before we get started, let's look at this platform by the numbers. Founded in 2002, LinkedIn today has more than 575 million registered users across the globe. 150 million of those users live in the US. By comparison, a little over 60 million live in India and only about 42 million live in China. The rest are scattered across all other countries. The important thing is that 150 million of the LinkedIn users live in the United States. 200 million of the global population of LinkedIn participants are on the site monthly. 40% use the site on a daily basis. Of that group of users, 44% take home more than $75,000 annually. It is considered the most effective lead generation site in social media. When you compare it with Facebook or Twitter, it is 277% more likely to generate leads. 20 million companies use the site globally, and the site averages 14 million job openings across all sectors. 90% of the recruiters regularly use LinkedIn. 61 million worldwide users happen to be senior influencers, and 40 million are users who are decision makers. As we move forward, let's ask a couple of important questions. Is networking a waste of time? Well, there are a lot of executives who are not comfortable with networking, and so they're looking for any excuse not to do it. And then the next question is, networking and networkers, are they inherently selfish? Well, there are some people who do believe that networking is a waste of time. One of those is Mark Maxwell, author of the book Networking Kills: Success Through Serving. Mr. Maxwell is also an entertainment lawyer and a college professor. His narrowly defined thesis is that from day one of college and throughout the remainder of one's professional life, the idea that networking is the single path to success is crammed down our throats. He believes that at the heart of networking is just basic people who are selfish. They want what they want. Well, I believe that his book has a false construct. Networking is not inherently selfish. I think there are two kinds of networkers. I think there are selfish people who network, and they are looking out only for themselves. And then there are those who see the value of having a group of colleagues with whom to share information, from their successes to ideas that maybe didn't work as well. The overarching values of productive and appropriate networkers is based on a willingness to share and serve. My second point is that if you network only when you're looking for a job, if you do not engage your network with interesting content and offers of support, when you need help, you will not be as effective. Good networkers give time. They're helpful to other people. And in giving, sometimes they receive. The best networkers are those who are committed to helping others. Businessman and author Harvey Mackay, who wrote what I think is the quintessential networking book, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty, preaches the gospel to which I fully subscribe. And that is, regardless of whether you are exchanging LinkedIn in-mails, text messages, traditional emails, or talking on the telephone, never end the conversation without asking, is there anything I can do for you? Okay, so let's begin to look in under the hood at LinkedIn. Let's begin at the top with the navigation bar. This is your home page, what we're looking at now. This is my network, jobs, messaging, notifications. That is my summary of my activity and profile information, work, and learning. So let's move right to left. First, let's start with learning. This is simply a nice feature that allows you to go in and customize your interest And then LinkedIn will draw on its fairly substantial library of content to address your needs. And it's there's some interesting programs there, and some are not so good, but it's nice to look at periodically if you have some time to kill. This is more important. This is work, and when you hit that button, you see this feature right here. It's called Groups, and this is essential to strategic networking. Why? Because strategic networking is a concept that basically says we're going to target certain areas of the country, we're going to target certain people in the country in order to expedite our job search. And so in order to do that, you don't really want to get a shotgun and start shooting out across a big lake and hope you kill some ducks. You need to be where the ducks are, so to speak. And so this helps you do that. And the LinkedIn groups, now we're waiting for it to load. These are my groups. And these are messages that I have gotten from group members. And so I'm going to shut these down now. We'll talk about that later in messaging. American College of Healthcare Executives. It's a standard group, which means that you can join if you meet criteria. It has 23,000 members. So if you open this up, okay, this tells you about the group. This lists the group rules. Now, this is important because if you're going to post, you need to be aware that some sites limit the content that you can post. They don't want you putting up, flagrant ads either for your job search or if you're a salesperson trying to sell steri strips or computers. It happens all the time, but some groups really police that. So just be aware of the rules. It's about targeting your message. And when you target, you have to understand how to get it done and execute. If you alienate your target audience, well, that's not a good thing. Okay, these are the group administrators. And you talk about a lot of case studies are put up here. Some of them by the manufacturers, some of them by salespeople. You can post interesting articles that you might find of interest on regulatory changes, on things that you know are going to be transformative, and you can comment on that. And those posts sometimes get a lot of views. So when you post, every time your picture's going to show up, your name's going to show up. This shows that I have a second-degree relationship with this person, so I'm not a primary contact, but I'm connected to someone who knows him. And then here's my post, and it was several days ago on the Centene WellCare merger, and that green dot means that I'm currently active on LinkedIn, okay? And when you see a dot that is a green with a white center, that means that the person is active, but they're on a mobile device. So we go back to the main page. I'm not going to go through and visit each page. This one is one of the largest ones in the healthcare piece. This is Healthcare Executive Networks, 297,000 members. Now, at the bottom of my groups, okay, is search other trusted communities that share and support your goals. So if you're not in healthcare like I am, and you're interested in manufacturing or human resources or the services industry, there are groups covering the waterfront. So you just have to go in and do your own research. If you don't see a group that matches an interest that you're passionate about, you can create your own group. It takes a lot of effort to build a following, but it can be very rewarding. So this is the group piece here, and it's very important. So as you start to get active on LinkedIn, be sure that you're joining certain groups and that you post to those groups, and we'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Now, this is I'm just going to spend a moment on this. This, just as a summary, tells you that I'm a premium member, and these are my private settings. And then if I say, gee, that's an interesting story, but didn't I post that last week? I can go to this tab, and it'll show me all of my recent posts. This is my quote for Tuesday this morning that I just put up when I'm videotaping this. This is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So this was a Memorial Day post I did yesterday. Okay, so this just gives a quick summary of what I've done and my background. This is the notifications tab, and this is pretty important because this gives you daily rundowns of what's going on. You can see how people responded to your post. So this is really important. You're posting not just a post, you're posting to get people's attention to your information, to who you are, and your thoughts on a certain subject. So let's stop and remind yourself of this important fact. Any post that you put up should be consistent with your brand. Any post you put up should be consistent with your brand. So try to do the best you can to align those two things. If you have a post that could be on the borderline of politics, sometimes it's better if it's policy, but could be political. Sometimes it's best not to say anything. The one area where you will get a lot of pushback on LinkedIn is if you post something political. And there have been some Trump trolls and some other Democratic trolls that have been pushed back pretty hard by the members who value LinkedIn as the largest professional networking niche site in the social media arena. So be very careful that you stay away from politics. Be sure that your posts are in alignment with your brand. And sometimes you can put a comment or two, sometimes not. It's just up to you. But this is kind of a rundown of some of the posts that I've put up lately. And the interesting thing is it allows you to go in and to say, okay, how many posts or how many views has this received? Well, this has been fairly new this morning, so it has not received anything. This lady is a connection, and she's starting a new position as a founding partner at Compliance Lab. So I'll send her a congratulatory note later in the day, and all I have to do to accomplish that is say congrats. If I've talked with her in the past, I may submit a more personalized note. I always try to put their name in the note, just drop it in so it is a little bit more personalized. But there are times when I will send a 3 or 4 sentence note if I know the person. Okay, so let's go down and see the article analytics. This is something I posted last week. It's last looked at 10 hours ago. It has had 122 article views, 8 views from people from Career Arc, Perimeter Medical. So this tells me where people are looking at my post. And this tells me the job titles that are looking at my post. This is geographically where they come from. This is the LinkedIn modification. All of my blogs are posted on my webpage and also on LinkedIn. Sometimes I will link the LinkedIn post to the webpage, but typically I keep those as separate channels of communication. So this just gives you a rundown. On Sundays, Mondays, those are sort of the lightest days. Research shows that the best day to post is Tuesday around 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, I cannot tell you why that's true, other than a lot of analytical analysis and analytical research shows that that's when most people really go online for the week. So that's a good time to post. All right. This is a post that I did for Memorial Day. I used this once before in 2017. This has had 348 views since it went up at 7:30 a.m., I think, on Memorial Day morning. These are the people who've liked it, the thumbs up, and a couple of comments were made. So, again, my point in doing this is that it's all about supporting my brand, okay? Now, there are certain days that I will just put my logo there and I won't put anything else. Most days on my quote of the day, we put the tagline, recruiting leaders, building careers. But I think that there's certain content where it just requires a little bit less of a sales, more of a corporate or a corporate advertising approach. So this is really advertising for me, and it's free. So this is the value of LinkedIn. So that's the notification tabs. Now let's look at the messaging tab, because this also is extremely important. I get a lot of people reaching out to me through LinkedIn InMail and LinkedIn text messaging. So this is where they come in. And this is a rundown of the people who want to reach out to me. This woman and I are going to have a conversation later in the week. And all these areas that are boldface means that I have to go in and look at them. These indicate there's more than one message. Now, when somebody accepts my invitation to connect, I always send them a personal note. Actually, it's a note that's pre-written. I keep it on my desktop. I cut and paste it into the response form, and I always put their name like, hello, Pratik. Thanks for connecting with me. Here's who I am, and here's what we do. And I get a lot of positive feedback and a lot of people inquiring about certain things that we do. So it is extremely powerful. It is extremely beneficial. So you have to learn it. When you start posting, if you have never posted before, if you start connecting with people, it takes time to build your brand online. The more time you spend with it, the more time people are going to come to your brand. People want to connect with you. So when they do, this is where it's going to show up here. You will also get an email in your regular email folder, if you've set it up that way, that says, hey, you have 4 or 5 messages on LinkedIn you need to go look at. So that's what the messaging is all about. When you want to get rid of somebody, you just click that button right there, the desk button. Okay, so that's messaging. I'm not going to spend any time with jobs. That's fairly self-explanatory. You can go in and research what's on the database. You can post alerts. So that's what that tab is. My network, when people want to connect with me, they send me requests for invitations. This is where they show up. Now, I cleaned all of this out over the long weekend and sent personal notes to people who had asked to join my network. There were 4 or 5 people I turned down because they were not people who were consistent with what I'm trying to do with my brand, either geographically or industry-wise. Okay? So, but most of the time I do accept people's invitations. I currently have over 8,700 contacts. Now, let's talk about that. Networking is like gardening, and gardens require attention. You have to weed the garden, and you have to prune the garden. And the same goes for your contacts. I've been in LinkedIn since 2002, the year it was founded. And so I have a lot of early contacts that, gee, that was very flattering. This person in Bangladesh wants to connect with me. Well, really what he wanted to do is me sponsor him for a visa. So I learned early on that there are a lot of people overseas that are not going to be consistent with what you're trying to achieve with your brand. The insurance agent in Seattle trying to sell me financial planning services is not someone that I'm particularly interested in connecting with, because although I certainly appreciate his desire to grow his business, it's not in alignment with my brand and what I'm trying to accomplish. So let's go back and talk about one of the tenets of networking. One of my aspects of my brand is that I'm here to help people. So I have historically given free telephone calls. We do no obligation assessment calls. And people will send me their resumes periodically. If I'm not too busy, I'll always try to review it and send them notes back. Part of my networking is to help other people. And sometimes that's just with words of encouragement or a short telephone call to give them guidance on who they need to be talking with, that sort of thing. Networking cannot be just about me finding more business. That's not an authentic brand. And if you're only networking to find a job, that's not really authentic for your brand. So networking is an ongoing process that you must do for the rest of your career. And it's about assembling a network that you can share ideas and help people out. And if you're helping people, you will get a return. I have consistently over the years, the more I help people, the more I seem to get back. And Harvey Mackay, who is someone I really admire and who wrote, as I said earlier, the quintessential book on networking, said, you want to dig your well before you're thirsty, and you always end every networking call with, is there anything I can do for you? So as you network, whether you're networking on a platform like LinkedIn, through your personal networking, you're always there to help other people. So this is the networking page, and I'm to later today, we'll probably send out some more invitations. So let's talk about invitations. Invitations should always go out with a brief note that said, gee, I'm a managing partner for a boutique search and career advisory firm in Dallas-Fort Worth. I would like to connect with you for future networking purposes. And 9.5 times out of 10, I get a positive response. The research shows that if you have a great picture on your site, you're going to have 21 times more chances for people to stop at your page than people who don't have pictures. And if you send a note with a networking request, you are substantially, I don't have the specific numbers, substantially more likely to get a positive return. So take some time, create some messages. As my Canadian wife likes to say, less is more. Now, I used to have some really intricate messages that talked about everything I did. It was great detail. And I think it was a bit much. Matter of fact, a couple of people said, gee, that's really nice, but that was more information than I wanted. So I've tried to trim it down over the years. And as I have, I found that I've been more successful in building relationships with people. So this is a really interesting feature. Now let's go and look at my contacts, because this is part of the strategic networking as well. Okay, I'm just going to go down and pick somebody at random. This is Justin Doss at Corpus Christi, and I'm going to open Justin's page. Now, when you see message, that means you're already connected with them. If you're not connected, it'll have a connect button, okay? He's with Christus Health, University of Texas, and he's was in Plano, but he's now at Spawn in Corpus Christi. He has over 500 connections. So if I click that, I now, because I'm connected with Justin, I now have access to all of his connections. See these? These are, I have no relationship with any of these people, okay, because it says connect. Well, there's a CFO that I might want to get to know, because CFO searches are hard to do. So I'm probably going to connect with her. So I'm going to show you how I do that, okay? Do I want to add a note? Yes. Now I'm going to take a second, if you'll excuse me. I'm going to type a note that says basically, hi, I am John Self, lowercase j, John Self, the MP of a boutique search and career advisory services firm in Dallas. I would like to connect with you for future networking. Thanks for your consideration, John. And then I always put my web page that gives them a chance, if they want to look at that, to go look at my web page. Initially, LinkedIn did not allow that, but now they have, and I think that's good. This number here says I have 95 words or characters left in this message. But again, less is more. Hi, I'm John Self, the MP. I'm checking this over here. If you're networking, thanks for your consideration. Send the invitation. Okay? Now, when she accepts, it'll come back into my networking folder, and it'll be there for me to take action on. Again, when I get a receipt that says, yes, I want to connect with you, then I always try to go in and send a note. If you have 15 or 20, and if you're very active networking, you can get that many responses back in a couple of days. What you need to do is start connecting with them. You can't immediately, without toggling back and forth, which is kind of kludgy and kind of time really awkward, you can't go back and forth. So just accept them. Make a note of the first person that you're accepting in a session, and then go into your connections, okay? Back over here to John, okay? And let's see if it does. This is not where that is. Sorry about that. I'll go back over here. And so I will go up to LinkedIn connections. These are my connections. And so when they come in, I will go all the way down here, and I know, like Justin Ross, okay? There's one I did the other day. And so let's say I want to send him a message. That's the first one. Then I scroll down to the first one that I accepted in a session, and that's where I start accepting my invitations. Again, you don't have to send a note, but if the purpose is to build a connection, why wouldn't you? Okay? So this thing is incredibly powerful. And this person, you go in, and they, as I said, they have tons of their own connections that could be potential people that you want to talk to, okay? So she is in New York, so she's opening me up to a whole group of people that I don't know. So let's say you're in a job search and you say, I would like to look at something in probably rural central upstate New York. Well, if you're connected with this person, then these are all of her connections, and a lot of these places are in upstate New York. Okay? Now, Will Latham is a medical group strategy guy. These are the people where we share joint connections. So the beauty of LinkedIn is to show you how you relate with other people, and that's really, really helpful. Now, when you have a lot of emails, when you respond to an email, take it down, because if you're not careful, You get 4 or 5 of those emails that you've been responding to, you can easily respond to someone you previously responded to with the wrong name. And that's kind of embarrassing, and I've done it several times. And you always say, please disregard, and everybody says, no problem. But if you send a message to someone and say, hey, thanks for connecting with me, and then it pops up here, then take it down, like I just did with that message over in the corner. Click the little X. Listen, I hope this has been helpful. This is not rocket science, but if you haven't done a lot of it, you'll have questions. So when you get your questions, either call me or email me, and I'll help you walk through them. Again, this was simply an overview tutorial to share with you the power of LinkedIn. Thanks.